My name is Ted Hodgkinson and I'm Senior Programmer for Literature and Spoken Word at Southbank Centre. I'm responsible for anything word-based that happens at Southbank Centre. So literature is one of the key art forms here at Southbank Centre. For over 50 years, literature has been one of the cornerstones of the artistic programme. And we wanted to do something that was looking back across all of that history and heritage right up to today. The Queen Elizabeth Hall and the Purcell Room are two spaces that are synonymous really with artistic innovation, work which really has driven forwards understandings, progressed in terms of formal practice, and that's right across artistic spectrums. We wanted to focus on two books that analogously, in similar ways, had what they had done really was to bring about a major innovation in the life of the novel. So we were looking back at around the birth of these buildings, and we also wanted to look at around that time what were the books that were emerging at that point that were doing similar things in terms of innovation and artistic progression. And 60 years ago this year was the first publication of Chinua Achebe's masterpiece, Things Fall Apart. It's an extraordinary, revelatory, powerful fable, and that has had an enormous impact across a broad spectrum of art. And in many ways it's seen as a sort of touch paper for African literature in the last half century, but it's also beyond literature itself. It's also inspired people, including Kendrick Lamar, and you know, it's had an enormous cultural impact as a novel. Similarly, The Golden Notebook is a book which really brought about a radical change in thinking. This is a novel which has quite a challenging structure. It speaks so directly to current discussions that are happening about women, equality, freedom. It's a book which doesn't shy away from asking some difficult questions about those debates, but extremely relevant to what's going on at the present and in the present. And so what we're doing is really shining a light on these two key books, which are that remain as potent now as they were when they first came out. I think that Southbank Centre has long been a place with progressive values, a place that celebrates art as social change, as art which can bring about a lifting of consciousness and of understanding of our other, and I think literature is often engaged in that same process, and many great works of literature are revelatory precisely because they show us the experience of someone very different from ourselves. And yes, I think that we were aware of the fact that Chinua Achebe and Doris Lessing, in very distinctive ways, prompted discussions about the limits of literary representation at the time. That there are many innovations and aspects of the books that we thought were worthy of a broader airing. And I think we also we're aware of the fact they've had enormous influence. They chime into current debates, certainly, about inequalities of various kinds. They attune us to experiences beyond our own, but they also we also wanted to bring them to, we celebrate them through a generation who know and love them, but also introduce them to perhaps readers who don't. Reading is mainly a solitary activity. You go off and you read a novel mainly on your own. You might be in a tube carriage, you might be in a cafe, but it's generally you're on your own. And yet, if you love a novel, you are part of an unseen community, a group of readers who you may never come across in normal daily life. But what we wanted to do was to create an opportunity for people who love these books to emerge from their reading dens and all come together and join us and hear these extraordinary words read aloud by a wonderful cast. I'm a really passionate believer in hearing these great works read aloud. It's an amazing opportunity for us to bring that work of literature alive, and to have an audience respond to that is just thrilling. We wanted the casts to have the same spectrum of breadth in them as the novels, and we wanted, in a way, the cast to try to represent all the different voices within each of the novels. And certainly we wanted them to be full of people who have loved the books and have been shaped by the books. To talk about Things Fall Apart, it's wonderful that we have someone like Chinua Achebe from Block Party, who read the book as a teenager and tells me that it's been an important part of his life. It's really interesting to think about how people from other art forms have drawn inspiration from these books in unexpected ways as well. So the abridger of Things Fall Apart, Ella Wakatama Allfree, was one of the editors responsible for ensuring that it appears in the Penguin Modern Classics range. So she's had a relationship with it, which is one of championing it in publishing and ensuring that it's recognised as the classic that it is. We also wanted there to be people involved in the cast who are emerging or poets or writers at the starts of their career. So, Chibundo Onuzo, Jennifer Makumbi. We wanted them to have a space for their own voices within the reading. For the Golden Notebook, we have a wonderful cast, including Lydia Wilson, Adjo Ando, who are two fabulous actors. Alongside them, we have some writers who are quite formally bold and daring in the work that they do. So Eamon McBride, Bernardine Evaristo. We also have some writers who are close collaborators with Southbank Centre, the poet Rachel Long, also Penny Pepper, activist, punk musician and author, who is fabulous and wonderful to have her involved, and Patrick French, who is currently writing the biography of Doris Lessing, which will come out, I believe, next year. And of course, Lara Feigl. Claire Allfree is doing the abridgment as well, and a long-time Southbank Centre collaborator, and she's done a marvellous job on an enormous task of abridging this work. Well, so the spaces, when they were first created, and since really, have been these sort of incubators for artistic talent, and the capacities of them, the size of them, the scale of them, makes them large enough to do something really substantial, but also small enough for them to be intimate. So you can really feel as though, when the lights are spotlit and the house is dark, you can feel very much as though it's you and the author or you and the reader. And they have beautiful acoustics, of course, because they are designed to have concert hall acoustics. And they're really being restored to their sort of initial prime, and that's thrilling and exciting to have those spaces back. Literature has been thriving at Southbank Centre over the last 3 years. We've done more large-scale events than ever before, but wonderful to have the spaces which we can, which have been, in many ways, the kind of heartlands of literature at Southbank Centre. They've been the places where poetry and spoken word in particular have really come alive.